Hey guys, good morning. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It is 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, let me just first update you yesterday. I think I was just able to download I haven't checked yet, yesterday's video on YouTube before we lost all internet connection in Connecticut yesterday. We got hit very hard from this Hurricane Isius. You guys know I have a hard time with names. Yeah, so there was 800,000 people without power here in Connecticut yesterday. I actually had my parents come stay with me here. It was like over 92 degrees here yesterday with no AC in most of the state. No internet connection and no AC, so it was quite a day yesterday. This internet just came on in the last hour. It came on about 2:30 a.m. here on the East Coast, here in Connecticut. The internet came back on. It was out, like I said, all over the state. All right. Again, this morning, I am talking about Donald Trump, his incompetence, his flat-out untruths, lies, whatever you want to call them, and the way he goes about this. And the more I did research this morning, the more angry again I got. What is going on the southern border right now? I got links down below. One of these links is to the Texas Tribune, I believe. It's a newspaper in Texas. And you guys got to read this article. It is appalling. What is the ICE agents, how the United States is acting right now. All right, let me just start. Okay, two things Trump's talked about in the last couple of days that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about first about the explosion in Beirut in Lebanon. Okay, Trump comes on and says more than likely it was an attack. It was a bomb. His generals are saying it was a bomb. It was an attack. No, it wasn't. Turns out, all right, a Russian freighter loaded down 6 years ago with ammonium nitrate, tons of ammonium nitrate, which is notoriously unstable. The freighter broke down, was pulled into port in Beirut, abandoned. The ammonium nitrate was offloaded into warehouses and just left. I'm assuming hot weather and humidity and all that. And we had this unbelievable explosion. I believe over 1,200, 1,800 people are dead now from that explosion. Unbelievable pictures from Beirut. So, Mark Esper, Trump's Secretary of Defense, I believe it is, comes on and he says, no, this was more like it was an accident. Everybody's saying this was an accident. Beirut, they've charged the people that supposedly oversaw this warehouse operation that let this go on, that ignored this, that allowed this to happen. And apparently those people are facing charges, criminal action now, negligence, whatever you want to call it. But it was not an attack. All right. Now, it's one thing when you have a 74-year-old sitting in Iowa that starts texting on Facebook about, well, geez, I think that was an attack. It's a whole nother thing when you have the president of the United States, again, supposedly the greatest nation, the most powerful nation in the world, the leader of the free world, guessing what's going on. Now, he said more than likely this was a terrorist attack. This was a bomb. No. So then he says his generals are saying, we know his language. People are saying, a lot of people are saying, my generals are saying, yeah, this is when he's trying to distance himself from a statement. Nobody's saying anything. We know how Trump operates. He doesn't take anyone's advice. He doesn't take any responsibility. I guarantee, I would bet everything I own in my bank account that this is how it happened. He was sitting 2 days ago in the morning watching TV, or yesterday morning watching TV on Fox, saw the mushroom cloud with his phone in his hand and just started tweeting. He saw it with his own eyes. I guarantee you he started tweeting this. Oh my God, it's a bomb. This is a bomb. People are saying this is a bomb. He saw the mushroom cloud. 74-year-old, half-connected brain just started tweeting. Like I said, it's one thing when nobody, a 74-year-old in Iowa, in Nebraska, in Connecticut, just starts guessing on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. But it's a whole nother thing when the leader of the free world starts talking about terrorist bombings in Beirut, Lebanon. And right away, like I said, uncertainty, change, these are things that affect the entire world. The stock markets, the economy, food supplies, everything, affects everything. When you have the leader of the free world guessing about terrorist activity that did not even occur, you're creating instability. This is not the way to run. You can't, this can't go on. And then with the whole pandemic on top of this, and us being in a precarious position as it is, with this guy, this halfwit leading the country, America's not going to stay the greatest, most powerful nation. I already have my doubts about when I say most powerful, greatest nation. I'm not buying it. All right, here's the big story today. All right, Trump comes on. Facebook finally took down one of Trump's posts. Finally, marked it as untrue. He came on and he said, I don't want to say that children, get your kids back to school. Send your kids back to school. It doesn't matter that Barron, little Lord Barron, isn't going back to school. We don't want to talk about that. That's something else. But get your kids back to school. These kids are dying from depression, not seeing their little friends, locking them in their closets for the last 6 months. It's making them die of depression. You've got to get these kids back to school. Got to get them back in school. Or in other words, you got to get me reelected and try to pretend things are normal. He made two statements that, again, he says, the virus is going to go away. It's going to disappear. He actually said in an interview about a couple weeks ago, a month ago, he said, eventually I'm going to be right. The virus is going to disappear. He said that. Eventually I'm going to be right. And you know what? That might not even be true. Fauci has said, even with a vaccine, this might be a world changer for good. That this thing might be around. You know, it might change our reality. It might not ever be wiped out completely. But Trump actually says, sooner or later, I'll be right. Yeah, might be in 100 years, might be in 42 years, but I'm going to be right. Might be 10 years from now, 12 years from now. It's one thing when you have Joe Schmo making these ridiculous statements, but it's a whole nother thing. I'm talking to you guys, you enablers, Trump, anybody that is still insane enough to still support this man. Well, he has the right to freedom of speech. He could say what he wants. You know, it's his opinion. He's the leader of the free world, supposedly. There's responsibility. Like I said, again, uncertainty. Change. When he says things, the world hears it within seconds. Millions and millions of people hear every idiotic thing that he utters and tweets. And it affects the world. It affects our economy. It affects our food. It affects our defense. It affects our everything. Our stock market. We can't have a babbling moron spouting off. A halfwit. All right, so he says, so the children, get your kids back in school. This is what he said. He said, children are immune to the coronavirus. Then he backed up. He said, well, I don't want to say 100% immune, but almost completely immune from the coronavirus. That was taken down off Facebook. Finally, Zuckerberg got his act together, and they said, no, this is a dangerous statement. Fauci came on and said hundreds and thousands I looked it up. 475,000 kids under 16 are infected with the COVID-19 virus. 475,000 right now. Doesn't sound like immune to me. We already know. We already know kids are coming up positive. They're testing kids. There's schools that have started. First day, and they find one kid that's already mixed in with all the other 100, 200, 400 kids, and they find he's positive. And now all of them got to be quarantined. And this is already happening. First couple schools. What's going to happen when 1,000 more schools open next month? It's insane. And it gets worse. Okay. So this is his claim. He keeps pushing this. The kids, they don't get it. They're immune from it. Never mind. And then Fauci comes on too. And not only do they get it, but they're very likely. This is still, I'm not going to say this is proven, but I've heard that they're 10 times more likely to carry and infect other people with it and not show the symptoms, be carriers of this, have it on their little germy bodies. I'm kidding around when I say that, but yeah. It's dangerous, man. And like I said, kids have been learning home for decades now, homeschooling. It's not like they're not seeing their friends. They're probably seeing more of their friends than they are at school. They're probably learning more in some cases. Homeschooling. I don't have kids. I'll stop right there. All right. So Trump keeps pushing this narrative. Kids are safe. Kids don't spread it. Kids are immune. It is factually, that is a falsehood, flat out lie. Untrue. And not only is it untrue, but it's a dangerous lie to say that to a country with a pandemic, with the country with the biggest pandemic spreading throughout it right now. And the president of our country is saying your kids can't get it. Do you see what's happening here? This is beyond having an opinion. This is dangerous, man. It's beyond dangerous. Now it gets worse. So I'm looking this up. I'm looking up about the kids and the facts. And they're down below. All right? From the Mayo Clinic, from Kaiser Health. There's a bunch of leading links down below. Then I get to the Texas Tribune. And they start talking about, since March, the Trump administration they put out this presidential mandate, this order, that supersedes all of the rules governing kids coming across the border. This is appalling. There's 3,700 kids right now, unaccompanied kids. Now, the Trump administration is no longer sending them back. It's called, they're expelling them. They're not detaining them. They're not giving them a number. They're not putting them in any kind of system. This is where it even gets more insane. They have private contractors that are unlicensed. God knows what credentials these people have that run hotels. These kids, these unaccompanied, thousands of unaccompanied kids, some as young as 8 months old, are being put up in hotels run by God knows who that aren't licensed to handle kids. God knows what's happening to these kids in these random hotels on the southern border. And then they're not being tracked. They're being held. They're not telling anybody. They're not getting any information on these kids, and they're just sending them back to wherever they assume these kids came from whatever they could gather from an 8-month-old, Guatemala, Mexico, the Honduras, wherever, and they just drop them off in a port city. Seriously. This isn't something you'd even expect from Russia or China. The Trump administration has been doing this since March, and they're using the coronavirus as a health issue, that we have to do this. We have to supersede never mind that they went back on Obama's rules on how these kids had to stay with their parents and be housed and all that. Then they were supposed to go in front of a judge. But the whole thing is they're not even being numbered. Nobody knows whose kids these are. They don't know their last names. There's thousands of kids that they have no idea who their parents are. They're being sent back to these gang-infested, drug-ravaged countries where they're facing death. You got to read this article. They talk about this one teenager with an infant and her story and how she talked to a lawyer about what happened to her with these ICE agents. These ICE agents are snatching what they assume would look like legal immigrants, kids, putting them up in unregistered hotels, God knows where, unlicensed hotels, and then flying them back, dropping them off without their parents in whatever country. This is what's happening. Read the article. And it gets worse. One of these supposed companies that's hired to hold on to these kids in these unlicensed hotels, supposedly there wasn't a hotel available. So they held the kids in a unused office building. I think it was in Phoenix, Arizona, for a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. And unused, they're just housing kids here and there. They're not telling anybody where they're putting these kids and then dropping them back off. Now, that's bad enough. But now, on one hand, Trump's saying, look, you can send your kids back to school. It's safe. Kids don't get this. And on the other hand, they've been doing this for 3 months, saying we can't take these, we got to snatch these kids up and drop them back off in their country, and there's no time to get their information, just grab them and drop them off because of the coronavirus, because they could be infected. On one hand, the immigrant children coming in could be infected. They have to be just thrown out of the country, and wherever they land without parents. But your kids are safe and can go back to school. Total contradiction there. Complete contradiction. Your kids are safe, no problem. They're not going to get coronavirus. They're almost immune. But these immigrant kids, oh my God, we got to snatch them up and get them the hell out of here ASAP. No time to talk to a judge, no time to number them, no time to get information. Grab them up and throw them out wherever they land. That's what's going on. Appalling. I see I've ran way over time here. I'll talk more about this later. Unbelievable. Read this article. I beg you guys. It's unbelievable. Texas Tribune. It's down below. All right. I'll be back later with another video. Love you guys. Have a good Thursday.